Oh, it's time to get ready.
And this time we have a beer, not just a soda.
Yeah.
Not just a good old sody pop.
Put some chest on your hair.
We're drinking the Flow Sunshine IPA from Roadhouse Brewing Co.
Dude, that is a good beer.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice. Let me give it a try. It comes from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is pretty cool.
Well, they know how to brew a beer down there. So, for our viewers in Britain, in our last episode, I was describing the new Jeepers Creepers as a facsimile of the original, but it just didn't have its soul. I believe that is the exact words that I said.
That's the G-rated version, because you went off on a crazy tangent about some bukkake-isms for a while, before you simmered. Yes.
So I watched Jeepers Creepers 3, because I've always thought I watched it, but I never did. And here is my assessment.
It's horrible.
I liked it more than the remake.
Are you shitting me?
Like, the thing about Jeepers Creepers 3, a lot of plot holes, a lot of bad effects, a lot of bad acting, but damn it, I thought it was okay.
I think you have further ruined, like, my perception of how you rate movies.
No, I mean...
I couldn't even finish it. I got maybe 20 minutes in when the dirt bike's around.
That was a horrible scene. I think if you walk into it knowing it's going to be bad effects or shit, I came in with such low expectations that I felt like, I was like, I'm okay with this.
I could not lower my expectations any further and walk out of that movie.
So
and be okay with it.
It seemed like it was a real Jeepers Creepers in it, man.
But
the Reborn,
yeah,
it has no soul. Watch it and let me know what you think, because I'm going to be really curious. Our next episode, watch Reborn.
We watched a movie called, it was called X. Have you seen X or heard of X before?
Jason X.
No, just X.
No.
It was wild. So the premise is these people who are making an adult drama film, with the camera, back in the 70s when it was first getting started.
The adult dramas.
Yeah. So they rented out this farm property from this old person, and they start filming their movies,
diddly-do.
their drama, and some crazy shit happens. And it turns into some crazy slasher horror film at the end. So if you like lots of boobies and you like slasher films, this is a good one. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty original.
Well, you know what I just realized today? They remade Hellraiser. I need to watch it.
Yeah,
I've been a big fan.
It has a female Hellraiser, right?
I don't know.
But it's
I haven't seen any
amazing
previews.
reviews.
So I'm really excited. Hellraiser is one of my favorites.
You're going to laugh. I've never actually seen a Hellraiser film.
Dude, they're the best. It was like my first horror series that I liked.
I need to watch it. But it's funny because talking about like redos and restarts and all this stuff, they actually made a prequel to Predator. I guess it's called Prey. And it's doing phenomenally well, too. People love it.
They made a prequel for Predator?
Yeah, it's called Prey. It's on Hulu. And I guess it's doing really, really well.
Oh, interesting.
So some remakes and redos and retreading is really good. I said a long time ago we watched the remake of Candyman. Fucking phenomenal.
I still need to see it.
It was so good.
Candyman.
Right. Candyman. But we have something really exciting to talk about.
Oh, yeah. We have our 100th episode coming out, and it's falling on an interesting date.
Something, like Halloween, maybe?
October 30th, baby. So if any of you guys have, like, something you want us to cover, like, it's gotta be a special episode.
Right. Our 100th. We have literally reached 100 episodes on Halloween. So, yeah, we are looking for some pretty crazy stuff to do. No matter what we do, it's going to be wild. It's going to be fun. We have to make it a special.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to all the demons. We'll bring out the Ouija board, everything. The spirit box.
I think we'll have to do one of everything.
Some tarot readings.
Like tarot, spirit box, Ouija. We'll have to do those little ghost rods.
It's going to be a really special episode.
Play with the ghost rods.
Yeah. You never play with the ghost rods. You never play with the ghost rods.
I think we got a lot of good stuff from that one. It was like the most legitimate conversation I think we've had.
It's pretty spooky.
Although I do miss the spirit box. We'll have to bust that out very soon.
Well, guys, we have a very special episode tonight because we are going to get to the very, very bottom of Mel's hole.
Wow.
This is the last one, man. This is the
it was
final
bottomless.
call. It may be. Nobody knows, but, I like to feel like there's a bottom somewhere.
There has to be. Just has to be. So the final call, and then, that is our complete coverage on the hole belonging to Mel.
Yeah. In memory of Mel, rest in peace.
Oh, God.
But I am doing well, and I am not yet ready to eat the big green wiener yet.
Yep.
The big green wiener.
You know, he was an old guy. The last time he talked was in like 2002. I'd like to think that he ate the big green wiener. I mean, I don't know if he's dead, but I'm kind of assuming here.
I would assume so, but I don't know what that means. What is he insinuating?
Oh, come on, Britton. We all know you love big green wieners. You're all over that.
Like the Hulk's wiener? I'm so confused. I didn't. And look, I mean, this story just went completely wild. Like, if you've been following us and listening to this entire thing from the beginning to the end, you know, this story just took some weird turns.
Oh, yeah. And there's still some weird turns, so...
I mean, I'm saying I'm not really surprised that a big green wiener made its debut. I mean, we've heard of a seal coming out of some weird fucking organs, and I don't know.
All right. Let's jump in.
Let's do it.
Let's get weird.
And to fill some of the gaps, of course, in our typical fashion, I found a couple stories online. It was really hard to match it, so there's a couple random stories that I found that are just, you know, in typical Reddit fashion. So,
in December of 2012, Mel Waters would make his last public appearance on Art Bell's radio program, calling in to give an update on his story. He's calling in from his nephew's apartment, and that is as specific as he wants to be. Mel, despite rumors, is in fact not dead. Oof. But he did have a brush with death back on Memorial Day. Mel talks about the story of the hole in Nevada, but doesn't want to specifically say where it is located at. However, the hole has been under helicopter surveillance frequently, but there has been no contact between the military and the Basque people in the area. Remember, there's two holes, right? Mm-hmm. There was one in Washington, and now he found one in Nevada.
Right, and the one in Nevada is the one that gave birth to that really fucking weird monstrosity.
Yeah, the weird shit has happened in Nevada.
They sent a sheep down there or something?
Yeah, they put down a sheep. They brought it back up, and it was dead. It was like cooked. And they cut it open, and there was a tumor in it. And when they opened up like this tumor thing, it was huge. A seal with human eyes came out.
Yeah. If you have not listened to our previous coverings of Mel's Hole, you should, because it is wild.
Oh, yeah. From certain approaches to the area that the hole is located, you are unable to see the metal collar from a certain distance. Only when you get to a specific distance will you be able to see the brim around the hole. So, I'm just going to play a lot of segments from this,
okay,
so you can kind of understand it.
One thing that when I said they have had flyovers of the hole there in your state, I was told something very interesting, and that is that from certain approaches to where the area that they're in, you can see the encampment of people. You could see the Basque if you're standing there, say, on the hillside, but you cannot see the flange around the hole. I told you that with this hole, there was like a metal collar,
that's right,
a flange around. You cannot see that from a certain distance. You can see everything else, and the flange is huge. It's a very large metallic structure, you know, that provides like a collar for this thing.
So the insinuation that Mel is doing here, he doesn't outright say it, but my assumption is that people doing flyovers, like, they're aware of him talking about the hole, so they're trying to locate it, but they can't
see it
because you have to be within a certain proximity to be able to see it.
Damn. So it's like a natural form of camouflage almost.
Yeah. One of the Basques had taken some of the ice that had been lowered down into the hole home with him, and we discussed that in the previous podcast, but there's more information that we got from it. He had placed some of it still burning in his wood stove in order to keep his house warm during the cold winter months.
Oh yeah, like the permanently burning ice.
Yeah.
Right? I remember that.
So Mel thinks that the ice is still burning even after all this time. The Basque, actually, you know what? Let's play a clip from this.
So we stuck it on the campfire there in a metal bucket to see if we could melt it. Well, the thing caught fire, as I said.
The ice caught fire.
Ice caught fire, was burning. And it was a kind of a strange fire, but it generated heat. I don't know. I still, to this, well, I might be getting ahead of myself, but it must have been some sort of chemical reaction. Somehow the water was changed.
Yeah.
We actually touched the ice, you know, and it felt like ice, but not cold. And when we came, that's when we took it, you know, before we set it on fire.
Like ice, but not cold.
Right. I mean, it wasn't cold, and so what was going on here?
So the Basque noticed that the air in the cabin was always dry. He was constantly thirsty and his skin was incredibly dry. One night, he noticed that the steam from the kettle was being absorbed into the stove. After returning home to his cabin, one day, he discovered that the stove had crashed through the hearth of his cabin and sunk into the ground below.
The hell?
So what would you do in that situation?
I mean, what can you do? The whole entire hearth fell through. Fireplace is fucking destroyed.
And we kind of have to put this a little bit in perspective. So the Basque are people that live on public land illegally, right? They're Native Americans. Mm-hmm. And they live in shacks, or at least this person does, right? It was just like, it's not like really a nice house. It's just really simple. So, you can leave or you can improvise. This Basque decided to improvise. Since he had no other way to keep his place warm, he patched up the stove and left it where it was in order to continue using the warmth that it provides. So what he did is he just attached more pipes to the stove to bring it up into the cabin, even though it was sinking into the ground.
Even though whatever is burning is causing him to be extremely dry, extremely dehydrated, it sounds like. Like, I'd be like, there's something not right about this. I probably shouldn't be breathing this.
Just drink some more water, and you'll be fine. Or will you?
Yeah.
Because after about a week or two, he comes home and finds that his entire cabin has collapsed, and it's turned into dust, as if all the moisture in the wood had been sucked from it. He leaves the stove and the remains of his cabin and moves in with his brother. After coming back to check on the cabin a month later, they discover that the stove had sunk about 5 feet into the ground and still is generating heat. The hole made by the stove sinking down is incredibly smooth, and unlike what you would expect a hole in the dirt to be.
Jesus.
This is when the Basque gets a hold of Mel to tell him what happened, and Mel does something that he thought he would never do. He tracks down one of his contacts from Australia. The official acts just as surprised as Mel is to find out about the second hole, and he asks for directions to it with a sense of urgency, like the fate of the world depends on it. He gets them in touch with the Basque who owns the cabin, and they lead the officials' team to the site of the burnt down cabin. The Basque wasn't sure if they were military or civilians. Mel thinks that some must have been scientists.
There's a team dispatched to the site of the former cabin.
A team?
A team of people show up there.
Way to go.
And now this guy, this Basque fellow there, he's got a nice vantage point. He knows all the land around there. He knows where he can sit out there and squat and look around. So he's got a pretty good view of where his cabin used to be. So he's out there, watching what's going on.
Yes.
Now, he said he wasn't sure if they were military guys or what kind of guys they were. I would imagine that some of them had to be scientists of some sort. And, they're out there for a while, and shortly after that, there's like a bunch of heavy-duty construction equipment, cranes, and things that are brought out there.
Here we go.
Yeah. And then, this is like, big stuff, super, super big stuff. But, he's up there and he's watching this, and the people down there at the cabin are really, struggling to get this stove out of the ground.
Yeah.
And at that point, I assumed that it sunk even deeper than it, than it was. And that last time he said it was about 5 feet deep. So this thing was pretty deep out there. They keep on bringing it in heavier and heavier and heavier equipment, bigger cranes. They bring in multiple cranes. They're still, I guess, not able to get a purchase on this thing to lift it out.
Hey, Mel, I wonder if this is the way the holes got made in the first place.
I do not know what the mechanism here is.
Because so far, what you've described sounds like it's making a new hole.
Well, from that standpoint, it sure as heck does. And obviously this thing is sinking deeper and deeper into the ground, and they are, it's like a total, they're totally baffled with how to get this thing out here. I assume that when they're trying to bring it up there, that they're breaking off pieces of the stove because, it's made out of cast iron or whatever, and must be busting up there. That the thing is really heavy. Well, eventually what they do is they drop some chains into the ground, and then they pour some water in there. into to the ground.
Yeah.
and I don't know if this is what happened, but this is what I assumed happened. Is somehow the water and the chains and the metal all congealed together, kind of like held fast like glue to the structure and everything that was in the hole.
Yeah.
Well, eventually they were able to get this thing out of the ground and hoist it up, and they were using more than one crane at this point. Now, I don't know a lot about cranes, but usually they could pick up a lot of stuff. They had several cranes working on getting this thing out, so it must have weighed some huge amount.
God,
talking like...
fascinating.
All right. And what they end up doing when they get it out of the ground is they put it on like a giant truck. And like this is like a truck that's like and this is like a truck that you would see from like mines, you know what I'm talking about, like those giant ones where the wheels are like taller than you.
Yeah.
And they just take it away. So, I mean, there's a lot going on there. It seems like to me it's absorbing the moisture from everything around it. It's some type of source of energy, but it like takes away all the water, whether it's from the ground, and for whatever reason they had to pour water down in there with metal, and for some reason when it sucked out the water, somehow it
Congealed.
binded the metal to the stove and they were able to pull it out. It's pretty fucking weird so far, right? But this story is like, I love it. I don't know why.
It just gets weirder and weirder. There's just a lot more circumstances that act. I don't understand it.
Well,
Like, it's almost hard to believe, but at the same time, like, how would you continually make all this random shit up?
oh, it's sus. It is as sus as it comes. Anyways, we will do a commercial break and we will go to Britain.
Hey, people don't really like commercials. Yeah, it's something not commercials. It's like the
Nah, when commercials are done right, man, they are fantastic.
Okay, I see what you're saying here. So the first story I had, actually, it doesn't quite fit with either Mel's Hole or the rest of the stories, but it was actually suggested to us from a friend, and I thought it was just hilarious and weird, and it's mysterious at its core. So there lies a mystery in Des Perez, I think it's Des Perez, Missouri, on a freeway ramp from I-270 to Manchester Road. This mysterious object caught the attention of a few passerbys as they drove on their way and eventually gathered a pretty big following on social media. Resting on a concrete wall on this freeway ramp is a jar of pickles.
Yes.
I shit you not, a jar of pickles. So it's just literally your average run-of-the-mill pickle jar. There's really nothing crazy special about it. But the pickle jar itself isn't really the whole mystery. So a girl by the name of Barb Steen, who's a resident of Missouri who lived near this infamous pickle jar, first caught her attention back in 2012. She described her daily regimen of waking up, preparing for work, hopping in her car, and looking for the pickle jar every day for 6 years. 6 years. This pickle jar.
It's been haunting her dreams.
Seriously, though. Like, it's not something you'd look at and go, oh, that's kind of random. But then for 6 years straight, this pickle jar on the freeway, you got to ask some questions.
Come on into my town.
Right?
Eating pickles here.
So no matter what the weather was, no matter what sort of construction that was happening or any freeway closures, literally the pickle jar stood upon its concrete ledge day after day. She stated that it appeared to be protected by some kind of aura because it was just always there. This fucking pickle jar. So roughly 2 years into her daily pickle sighting, she had the idea to create a Facebook group called Team Pickle. But you got to be careful with that one, right? You can't just create a group called Team Pickle.
What's wrong with that, man?
You can get some weird.
Explain it to the viewers.
You can get some. Explain what
Please,
Team Pickle
Britton,
could be.
elaborate.
It's like it's like the dirty brother of Team Eggplant. You get what I'm saying?
You don't want to eat a green wiener, Britton?
The big green
Hang on a sec.
Oh, God.
But I am doing well, and I am not yet ready to eat the big green wiener yet.
Britton, are you ready to
See,
eat the
that
green wiener?
was actually a really cool tie-in.
Yeah, that
Look
was
at
weird. We didn't
was,
plan
that.
that.
Was random. Look at that. See, we're getting better. We're tying in when we don't even mean to tie in. So anyway, so she created this Facebook group. She thought the pickles had a story behind them because for some specific reason, you know, they're just sitting on this highway ramp for several years. So at the start, only 25 or so people had joined the page. They were posting their own pictures of the sightings. You know, some of them were blurry because they're trying to snap them while they're driving through. And then, there was all these pickle memes and images. It just seems like a really wholesome group of just this pickle jar on the freeway, right? And they had some theories about where this pickle jar came from. Basically, it was everything from like a shrine to some random pickle lover to, get this, aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Some people thought that aliens had just
sense.
said, hey, this is a place for our pickles. Just leave it here.
I would start a pickle cult.
Why not? I mean, this would be the place to do it. So some short time after the group was made, the pickle jar went missing. It's probably removed by someone just wanting to ruin the fun. But the jar had been weathered, was looking pretty nasty. The cucumbers that were soaked in death inside were definitely sunbaked and rotten. And
I would take it off and put a big jar of sauerkraut up there.
there you go. But the absence made the group pretty sad, right? There's this pickle group that's worshiping this jar of pickles, and then it disappears. But this wasn't the end, because roughly a year later, another pickle jar was placed on the concrete wall. The brand was different, the contents appeared newer and much more fresh, but this made the pickle group super happy. So first pickle jar goes missing, now there's another one. So this random cycle continued over the years. The pickle jar would remain on the concrete and would sometimes disappear or fall over, only to be replaced shortly after with a new container of pickles.
This is how religions are made.
Right? Some of them were in Tupperware containers. Most of them were just like brine. Some of them were like pickled chips. But no matter the style, there always seemed to be pickles on this highway ramp. The pickles gained so much traction that even Fox 2 News did a report on it, asking for tips on where it was coming from. Soon the Facebook page had over 2,500 members, with members in the UK and Hawaii. It's like people from the UK are following this pickle group in Missouri. Hundreds of pictures were posted by this picture jar. Some of them appeared to be professional close-ups as well as blurry drive-bys. But with all the traction it was gaining, the mystery remained the same. What was the deal with the pickles and who the hell was putting them there? As of 2018, the concrete wall is empty, but the Facebook group is avidly waiting for the jar to return. It always returns in some fashion.
Pickle god.
Isn't that weird, though? Some random jar of pickles keeps making its appearance on this highway.
It's our one and only true savior.
Right? Okay. So again, that was just a kind of a random little fun, interesting thing that I wanted to cover. But I got some creepy Reddit stories, and I think that the thread was, what are some of the scariest things you've seen outside? So, one summer I was on a 3-month spelunking trip. We were slated to explore 13 caves that were only lightly documented. One in particular was 12 chambers deep before we came upon the small opening for the water source that created this particular system. I was the only one that could fit, so I was the first choice to head down. Would you do spelunking like when you had to crawl through those narrow tunnels?
Ever since I read Muddy Putty Caves, the guy who died there,
Yeah.
I won't do it.
So about 150 down and around a few corners, I found myself at a small opening into another larger chamber. The only way I could make it through this opening was hands forward, only pulling myself with my fingers inch by inch. I found myself with my chest pressed tight in the opening when I heard a noise echoing in the chamber. I realized that it was my heart, pressed against the rock so tightly that I could hear my heartbeat echoing in the cave. Well, I managed to pop through, and as I turned back to mark the hole I came out of, I looked down and saw the lower half of a human jaw. I suddenly felt panic. I imagined the hole was like someone sticking a hockey puck in their mouth. It would go in, but it wouldn't come out. I basically grabbed the jawbone, leapt through the hole, tearing my spine all along my back. This is one of the creepiest things I've found in my lifetime. Then he has an edit for everyone asking whether I kept the jaw and turned it into a funky CD holder or what. I was younger and stupid at the time, and I ended up giving it to my hippie ex-girlfriend. Would have still loved to have it.
Was it a human jaw?
Yeah.
Dude, what a douche. You need to bring that to the police.
A lower half of a human jaw. So I have a couple more, but let's go back to Mel's hole.
Back to Mel's hole. Mel talks about how he feels as though someone has been following him, and that the people he was looking for before were somehow able to find him, even though he tries to stay as private as possible. He worries that if people are able to find him that easily, they will be able to find the hole. He gets badgered all the time, even though he doesn't have a nickel in his pocket. At this point, Art decides that it's best to move on from that topic for Mel's safety. But I need to play this because it seems like he speaks in a code, and I feel like there's more there, but I don't know if I'm just reading into it, so let me know, Brittany.
Mel or Art?
Mel.
Okay.
I'll tell you, some of the people that I was trying to find have found me. I mean, and I have not left a trail of breadcrumbs out there. But so
Yeah, you're
I
not an easy guy to find.
I'm not an easy guy to find. In fact, that is also my message to Charlotte, and that is that I'm not around because people badger me all the time, even though I don't have a nickel in my pocket.
Actually, I would be aware of those you refer to. Let's not talk any more about it.
Okay. That's
listen, listen.
So, like, maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I feel like the most probable scenario is it's his ex-wife or some estranged lover or someone in his family he doesn't see anymore. But, like, the way how Art says, I know these people, like, let's move on. I don't know. It just seems weird.
Right. So we're not supposed to really know who Charlotte is.
Yeah, I've looked online. I can't figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, based off of his history with his ex-wife, who, you know, had claims to the first property, right, with the hole and all that. It was like the big legal battle. I would imagine it was probably her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very...
But he said in previous episodes that she disappeared, that he doesn't know where she is. I didn't get a name on his wife, but I don't think Charlotte is his wife.
Yeah.
Like, I could be wrong. Like, if any of you guys know this or like have done research and found something here, like, I could be wrong. I feel like Charlotte is not his wife, though, or his ex-wife. I apologize.
Right. It could be code for someone. It could just be, you know, because he speaks very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a code. Like you said, it's very coded.
Yeah.
And just the way that Art kind of chips in and says, hey, I know who you're talking about. Let's drop it, you know?
Are you ready for it to get weird?
Yeah.
The creature that had come out of the dead sheep they lured into the hole had been returning to visit the Basque people on numerous occasions. I'm going to do a throwback. This actually happened live on the call. If you want to know more information, listen to our previous episode.
And I said that, hey, you don't want to do this. You don't want to send a human being down there. So they decided to lower sheep.
Yeah.
And they winched the sheep. Well, I don't want to get into the grisly details, but the sheep goes into the hole.
Right.
Goes down 1,000 feet. Bring the sheep up. Sheep is dead. Cut into the sheep. They find this huge tumor-looking sort of thing inside of it. These guys are used to eviscerating sheep, and they know this doesn't belong in there. They cut it open, and there's this thing that it's alive inside. It looks like a baby seal.
Yeah.
Like you see at the aquarium, a pinniped, a baby seal. That's what it looks like. But the eyes are so odd. We're all described as the same thing. It looked like it had eyes of a human being. You look at a seal, picture of a seal, and it's got these black eyes.
Right.
This thing had like human-looking eyes.
Oh, man.
Okay, and we had experiences with it. I won't go into the whole thing, but...
God, that's so creepy to me. A seal with human eyes.
Yeah. It's not something you just want to see, especially when it comes out of a sheep.
Mel mentioned someone that had appeared on the show talking about the subject, a man named Red Elk, or Gerald Osborne, who theorizes that the seal creatures are actually rock flyers. Supposedly, of Native American legend, rock flyers live beneath the earth and can travel to and from different dimensions. Art thinks that deep beneath the earth, laws of reality could be very well different than on the surface, which it would explain all the weird things related to the hole. On the topic of oddities, Mel talks about the replacement 1943 Roosevelt dime that was given to him by one of the Basque elders when he had visited the second hole. Much like the metal collar on the hole, the dime is unable to be seen with the naked eye from about 15 feet away. It's also not possible to take any sort of photograph of the dime or to scan it.
What the hell?
Mel is still in possession of the dime, but he is unable to take any pictures of it at all. Again, compelling, but sus as hell.
It's just a bunch of weird shit. I'm like, I don't even understand how this story has just evolved from, hey, I found this huge never-ending hole in my backyard and we used to dump a bunch of TV shit down there, to a second hole with these rock slider cryptids coming out of the earth.
It all ties together. It all ties together. You wait. So the hole in Washington is likely covered over, according to Mel, but the hole in Nevada is still there. Mel wants to get in touch with the Basque and bring it all to light. He thinks that it's dangerous and that people should be aware of those dangers. But he brings up a book by Kirk Vonnegut, probably got that wrong, titled Cat's Cradle, in which a substance called Ice-9 is created in order to solidify mud, but it converts all the water molecules on Earth into a solid, essentially destroying the planet. Scientists believe that this could very well be plausible, according to Mel, which is where Vonnegut got the idea for his book. All right, let's turn it over to Britain.
Hell yeah. Okay, so this next story from Reddit. Went for a midnight walk with my boyfriend and dog about 4 years ago after we moved to a new apartment. We went walking around a really popular lake, but this was like 12:30 or 1 a.m. Anyway, we get near the end of the walking path and we pass a senior couple slowly walking past. Okay, weird, they should be asleep, they're so old. When we continue walking and my dog stops at a park bench to pee, and there's a fucking old man sitting there silently. Holy Christ. Spooky.
I don't know where I am.
We walk a little bit further, and I swear my memory is not cloudy here, but there's got to be a dozen or more old people just standing and slowly walking around this part of the path. Like, what would your first thought be?
Like, someone, like, confused a bunch of elderly people from, like, a hospice or something to, like, leave the house. They, like, open the doors. They're like, come here, you old seniors. I know you have Alzheimer's, but let's go run around.
So, yeah, so you're thinking they're there for some crazy coincidence. Like, they're not just, like, some elderly gathering group?
Someone broke them out of a senior center, and they all have Alzheimer's, and they're just herding around like cows in a pasture.
Okay. Some are sitting, and some are in couples, but nobody is making a sound. My boyfriend and I kind of drag each other and the dog through the mess of old people and briskly get the fuck out of there. I contacted the local folklore ghost guy, but he said he hasn't heard anything about that area. There's no old folks home in that part of town, and certainly no senior home is going to sponsor a seniors walk on the lake at 1 a.m. Still freaks me out.
Damn boomers own all the homes, and now they're all partying at night. What else can they take from us?
They're like, there's like a group text going out, or like a group like pager. It's like, walk around the lake at 1 a.m. There may be some skinny dipping.
Ooh wee!
So I thought that was kind of wild. Just a bunch of just old people walking around. I like how she said that, like, they're so old that they should be asleep. Like, I guess age means you
Kinda
have to go to
ageist.
sleep at a certain time. Hey, some people like to party. Party hardy.
I'm old enough to party.
That's super bad. Okay, my family camped in the same place every year. Awesome campsites, and it was surrounded by miles and miles of forest. Anyways, a couple kilometers from the main area, we found this barbed wire fence, and being boys, we had to get over it. But at the same time, it was much too tall. So we dug under it with my father's old tactical shovel, fold-out shovel with a blade in one side. Anyway, we finally squeeze under and we make our way into the forest. We walk about 20 minutes and we don't see anything, and then we stumble upon a river. It was the middle of summer and the river was running low, so we climbed down the bank and decided to follow the river because we had nothing better to do. We follow the river for a while until we come across a strange sight. A very old, very rusty Volkswagen Beetle half buried in the bank.
Wait, you're telling me there's a van down by the river?
Yeah. Partly sunk into the riverbed. The front end was punched in and the seats were ripped apart and all the glass was missing. The weirdest thing was there was this giant hole punched through the roof. The metal was bent outwards like something had punched through from the inside the car. The doors were rusted shut, but with our handy pocket knives and my dad's old tactical shovel, we ripped open the driver's side door. The other one was sunk into the muck and inaccessible. Inside there was one leather shoe, still tied, just sitting there. It was super creepy, and thinking about it now, I'm pretty sure something fucked up happened, but as kids, it was super cool and creepy. We never told anybody about it, and we returned to see it every year when we were camping, bringing our friends along and such. The last time we went there, the car was pretty much gone, totally sunken into the mud. The creepiest thing, honestly, was that there were no roads for miles around. It was all forest. Something I constantly pondered was how the hell it had gotten to the riverbed in the first place, and where the hell the original driver went. So what's your thoughts?
Jeepers creepers.
Where'd you get those papers? What's your thought, though? How did it get there?
Oh, someone
Think
got
it's a mob
murdered,
job?
dude. Yeah, someone got murdered to hell.
It's a mob hit?
All right, back to Mel's Hole. The Basque have discovered a way to communicate with the seal creature. They use one of their boom boxes to which the creature speaks through. Mel isn't sure how any of that works, but that is what he hears from them. When they attempt to record the creature speaking, the recording sounds change simply like an intermodulation of bloops and bleeps.
Bloop, bloop, bleep.
So like they hear talking through it, but when they click record,
Just a bunch
it's
of
bloops and bleeps.
Bunch of robot talk.
How convenient.
Nothing is convenient in this fucking story.
Well, what did the seal say? What do you think the
Did
seal
they
said?
test for, like, Morse code?
It said no, it said words. I'm gonna play the words for you, man. Or at least I'm gonna say what Mel said the words were.
Oh.
Now, the Basque were warned about the ice that we sent down.
What kind of warning?
They said from the seal creatures that the ice can and would destroy the world in a very little amount of time. This stuff is too dangerous to fool around with. You don't have any way
It's not supposed to be up here.
of understanding how this works, even though it is so tempting that all of a sudden in a bucket of ice, I've got what seems to be a unimaginable source of power, an inexhaustible source of power, apparently. But I can't imagine if it's being inexhaustible if it's getting heavier and it's absorbing water. I mean, that to me doesn't sound like, so I think that stuff that was down there really is truly dangerous if not contained properly, is my feeling on that there. And then that's the warnings that they were giving, is that the world would be destroyed by the improper use of the ice. But they anticipate that greedy and undisciplined use of the ice will probably occur in this world.
Greedy and undisciplined.
Disciplined use of the ice.
It's an interesting phrase.
That's... Isn't that like every story?
Oh yeah.
Man gets a hold of the most powerful thing, destroys the earth. Man just destroys everything.
Hell yeah.
I think this is Mel's villain origin story.
Maybe.
He found this crazy ice that could destroy the world, and he's like,
I'm gonna murder them.
I shouldn't have it because I could destroy the entire world.
Meow.
I'm gonna be careless with this thing.
Be ashamed if someone threw it at somebody.
Yeah. Give me back my hole or I drop this. Don't tempt me.
Put it up your butt.
That's a different kind of foreplay.
Mel wonders if there is a connection between crude oil, whale oil, and the Basque, and that the Basque had told him that they were the ones who put the whalebone in the tree in Ellensburg, Washington, to kind of signal that's where that bottomless pit was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that explains the whalebone from episode 1.
The seal creature also said that there are intelligent beings on other worlds who have their eyes on this planet because of the shape that it is in. Those
Around?
beings, yeah, like in other dimensions, like what they're getting at is the hole leads to other dimensions. It's where the seal is because it's interdimensional. So those beings would be more than willing to inhabit our world if and when we destroy ourselves with nuclear weapons.
Okay, so they're just waiting for us to fuck up, go extinct, and they're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
They're like it's only they're doing this pretty quick.
Yeah, they're like, our Earth is like yours, but on fire. So they want ours,
Here's this ice. Be careful, because it will fuck you up. It will destroy everything you've loved.
The seal says the Earth is on a collision course for disaster, and that other beings are planning on reaping the rewards of both the planet and the ice when we are gone. When the ice is discovered, it is almost always improperly used. So that's kind of like saying like other planets have gotten this ice
No one has been able to
and they
use it
died.
properly.
Not all of them. I would say a majority. So Art asks Mel to swear to get in touch with scientists, and Mel says that he will speak with the Basque about that. And with that, the show runs out of time.
Oh, fuck.
This would be the final appearance of Mel Waters on the show, and perhaps the last any had ever heard from him.
What a cliffhanger.
You know,
So he literally says, hey, this is kind of the penultimate thing. You know, let me explain the whalebone. This is kind of what happened. And we were told that this will be used incorrectly. The world will end.
Yeah.
Peace out.
he seemed like he was going to go on the show again, but he just never came back.
Yeah, it's probably because those people that were looking for him have finally found him.
They threw him in the hole, goddammit. So we're going to jump into the theories about the hole from around the internet. But before we do that, Britton, let's have you do your final story.
All right. My last one. I'm excited about these theories, though. There's something always so satisfying about wrapping up a topic.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like when we wrapped up our urban legends in the States, it's just something so satisfying about it. Okay, so last story here. A couple years ago in high school, a friend and I were selling cinnamon roasted nuts at this 2-day fair for his dad's side business. I love those cinnamon nuts.
Hell yeah.
Sometimes I put cinnamon on my... Just kidding.
All right. You get your dogs.
Cover them in butter and dip them in cinnamon.
Jesus.
It's a Friday night. It was in this smallish town in the Midwest. Real charming place in some ways, but kind of spooky at night. I feel like it's made up. Just tell us what town it is.
Fake news.
A lot of mixing of highways and back roads to get wherever you needed to go that could get disorienting if you weren't from around there. On the first night after we packed up, we were looking for dinner and decided we wanted to hit up a Sonic we'd seen on the way in. Gotta love those random cravings, like, I want In-N-Out right now. Naturally, because we're idiots, we get lost. We're driving around outside this little set of gas stations and mini-marts, trying to figure out if we're shamed enough at this point to go in and ask for directions to a fucking Sonic. When we spot one of those blue highway signs, the kind for gas next exit and such, this one looks kind of weird because there's no wording and its edges are all torn up. And it's just a picture of the Sonic logo with a white arrow pointing up into this road leading into the woods. Are you gonna fall for this? this sign that just has the Sonic logo with an arrow into the middle of the woods.
It's just deep in those woods.
Are you gonna follow this?
Nah, dude.
Like, what's your first thought?
I'm out. Sonic ain't worth that.
My first thought is like Wrong Turn. You know those movies, Wrong Turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, this Sonic is not in there. Sonic is not in there. So we went up it because, as mentioned before, we're stupid. We're driving around in these woods for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. No other cars, no lights, no deer or birds, and definitely no Sonic. Could have told you that. To take the edge off, we're cracking jokes about how if we hear banjos or see anybody lurking on the side of the road, we're just pulling a U-turn and bolting.
Home's back where you came, son.
Bang, bang, down, down, down. Then we hit a dead Then we hit a dead turn and pull into this unmarked dirt grove full of trailers. They found the Sonic. It's a backwater Sonic.
Yeah, it's a Sonic made out of trailers and
Now-
people with beards and hillbilly-ish.
Right?
Yes.
Now, it was dark. I don't know if maybe the road goes through there if we turned at some point and didn't realize it, or if it really is just a paved service road to get to this grove. I wasn't really thinking about that at the time because the moment we pulled in, every single one of those trailers lit up, and people were peeking through the windows. One of them had something in his hand, and it might have just been my crazy brain, but it sure as hell looked like a gun.
We don't usually get visitors here.
Right? And we got him again with that Sonic sign. I don't know how fast we were going when we finally got back to those gas stations, but it was faster than I've ever driven before or since. I can't tell you what we saw up there. Maybe it was just some sort of camping site. Maybe we just woke up a few sleeping families and one of them happened to be a jumpy hunter. Or maybe there never was a gun at all. But I keep thinking about that sign. Man, that looked like it was cut out of a legitimate highway board and stuck there by somebody else. It was on a wood stake. It was all cut up and worn. I keep thinking about that dead turn and how coordinated those lights were when we pulled in. I don't know what would have happened if we stayed in that strange little camp, but I'm glad I never found out. Murderville. Okay.
All right, let's jump into theories.
What's your theory? Like your thought on this. What's your theory? What do you believe
I'll
in?
tell you at the end. All right. So the first theory is Mel is just mentally ill and like found some geological structure and he was like trying to explain it and made a fantastical story. First one is like he found like some type of volcanic cave or lava tube. Caves of various types and sizes occur where volcanic rocks are exposed. These are cave formations by flowing lava and by the effects of volcanic gases rather than by dissolution of the bedrock. Because volcanic caves come very close to land surface, they are easily destroyed by erosion processes. As a result, such caves are usually found only in recent lava flows. Those that are less than 20 million years old. Lava tubes are the longest and most complicated of the volcanic caves. They are the channels of rivers of lava that at some earlier time flowed downslope from a volcanic vent or fissure. Lava tubes develop best in highly fluid lava. So these can be shown as like really just deep, straight down holes. So maybe he just discovered a volcanic cave or something like that, or a lava tube. The state of Washington resides over a rather large and active volcanic zone. The purported locations of Mel's Hole outside of Ellensburg is just to the east of Mount Rainier. For this reason, this is the most logical and likely explanation for many of what the hole might be. However, no such cave/tubes have been found that could pass for being the famous hole. Other geological possibilities are small caves that are produced in regions volcanism by at least 3 other processes. These are pressure-ridge caves, spatter cone chambers, and blister caves. So basically, all these theories are predicated that Mel found some type of hole and either was like disillusioned, did bad science, and just thought it just went down forever. Maybe there was like some water flow that would like carry the fishing line to great distances and he thought it was just going down, but it was just an underground waterway.
What about the guy dumping all the tires?
Yeah, I mean, there you go.
happen.
Refrigerators, you know.
I can see that where this guy, like, he finds this hole. It's really deep, and he goes, oh my God, it's never ending. And then he's like, I could tell some crazy shit about this. And then
like,
his mind just goes nuts from all the heroin he's shooting.
That's quite the assumption.
So my theory is there was some heroin involved.
All right. The next theory is the Hitler theory.
Oh,
The
Agartha.
hollow earth theory, Agartha. Another common, albeit less likely theory. This is the theory that the earth itself is entirely hollow below a rather small layer of rock. This theory was prevalent centuries ago, but it has all but been debunked by modern science, supposedly. However, there is a small segment of the population that still believes Earth's center is hollow. In relation to Mel's Hole, the idea is that the reason the fishing line and items tossed in never seem to hit bottom is because the hole leads to an empty interior of the planet.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
So when Hitler's riding around on his T-Rexes, he just sees this fishing line. He's like, not going to happen, bud.
Not today.
What if you pulled up a T-Rex, dude? That's the find of
I
the
mean,
century.
that would also explain why the seal came out there, because there's going to be life down there under the hollow earth theory.
A seal with human eyes.
That is the most plausible, implausible theory here.
Yeah, I think the Middle Earth is gonna take the cake on this one. I don't think there's any other theory.
Hang on. Government project or weaponry. Oh. A popular theory is that Mel, and perhaps the previous owner of the property, unwittingly discovered some sort of military weapons, tunnel, or something related to a secret government project of the same idea. The location of the hole was known to be near the Yakima Training Center, and Fairchild Air Force Base was to the east of it.
I think it's Yakima, but who's paying attention?
Though not really all that close. Shut up. The description of the original hole, however, doesn't seem to be that of modern design. The hole in Nevada could have been, though. There are no known weapons or projects that could account for an 80,000 feet hole as deep as the one Mel claimed to own. Therefore, there isn't much that can be said about this theory. Could it be a missile launch tube? Or some sort of weather-controlling mainframe? Probably not.
It's one of the holes that has the missiles for Doomsday, that red button, and one of the missiles just comes out of that hole.
Maybe it's all true. Maybe it's just,
I mean, that would explain-
Agartha, or maybe it's going to another dimension, or Mel just lied about the whole thing to get famous. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably the one I subscribe to, but damn, is this a good story.
It was an enticing story, because when you first pitched it and you said, hey, we're going to talk about this thing called Mel's Hole, it's seemingly in this hole, I'm like, okay, cool. Interesting. It's mysterious. Whatever. I couldn't have prepared myself for where this was going to go. I could not have. Had you told me there was a second hole with some crazy seals coming out of sheep and this endless burning ice that's going to destroy the earth in no time at all, I'd have been like, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Thanks.
We're very grateful that Mel showed the world his 2 special holes.
Yes. He very easily could have kept those holes to himself.
I bet he's like listening to this. He's like, I'm not dead, first of all, and how dare you, you son of a bitch.
Hey, if you're alive, Mel,
reach out
please
to
give
us.
us a call.
We'd love to have you.
Damn, we would love to have you on the show. And you can tell, part 6 of your story. But,
Tell us about Charlotte. I want to know.
Yeah. I don't know, though. Do we want to get wrapped up in that stuff? Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
But that ends Mel's Hole and this episode. And like we were talking about earlier, we are just 2 episodes away from our 100th episode. So we owe a huge thanks to all of you listeners for supporting us along the way, because had we not seen the traction we're seeing now, I don't think we would have kept this going. I mean, we love it. It's a hobby, but, at some point you're like, yeah, no one gives a shit. No one's listening.
Yeah.
But I think this has been fun. It's been an awesome journey, and we are very excited to celebrate our 100th episode with all of you. So if you have any suggestions at all, please send them to us at entertheabysspod@gmail.com.
And if you're listening to us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, because it really gets us out there. I think we're at 216 subs, which isn't a lot for a big, YouTube channels, but it's a lot for us. And as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.